Player ratings then, Fulham 2, Everton 3 at Craven Cottage. Everton holding on after a very poor second half performance in a game of two halves to win at Craven Cottage away to Fulham. 3 points, and ultimately that is all that matters, but it wasn't a fancy, pretty performance by Everton by any stretch of the imagination. Jordan Pickford, I've gone for a 7 for Jordan. Don't think he put a foot wrong really today. Not really at fault for any of the goals conceded. Obviously, didn't have to do anything for the penalty either. That was done for him by the Fulham player who skied it over. And again, like I said, he didn't really do much wrong, to be honest with you. He made a couple of interceptions as well, picked the ball up at times that he needed to. I also saw him demanding his area and actually shouting at the defence when Fulham were allowed too much time and space on the ball, and when, you know, Fulham players were allowed to, you know, just shoot at will. I seen him getting up and have a little go at Mina and Keane and saying, don't be allowing that to happen. So again, pretty average performance by Jordan, nothing at fault for him, so I've given him a 7. Luca Dean, I've given him a 7.5. I think going forward he was absolutely amazing once again. 2 assists, he's got 5 this season, which is more than any other defender in the Premier League. An absolutely fantastic player going forward. As soon as that ball leaves his left foot, you know that it's on a plate for either Dominic Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison or Abdoulaye Doucouré today, of course. I think defensively a couple of opportunities come down that left-hand side and he could have done with being a little bit tighter, but that's sort of what you get with Luca Dean, isn't it? You know how good he is going forward, you know how quality he is. You know the quality that he brings in terms of putting the ball into the box and creating chances and getting assists, and, you know, another 2 for him today. And defensively, maybe he does need to shore it up a little bit, and, you know, a few chances did come down that left-hand side, but it wasn't solely his fault. So I've given Luca Dean a 7.5 today. Michael Keane a 7. I thought he'd done okay. I thought both defenders struggled today, and I thought Yerry Mina, you know, didn't do Michael Keane many favours, to be honest with you. He put him under a lot of pressure. You know, it sort of felt like another one of those games where Michael Keane is having to demand and do everything himself, and in doing that, you know, at times he's making a couple of mistakes or he's not in the right position. I thought he was okay, wins a lot of aerial duels. Michael Keane, to be fair, he's always up, he's always winning the ball, he's always getting it down, and I don't think he was particularly at fault for, you know, either of the goals. Okay, defensively, again, it was quite similar to the Manchester United game. Certainly the first goal, Mina and Keane were just miles apart from each other, but for me, Yerry Mina needs to be tracking that run. Yerry Mina needs to be going with that defender, but you could also look at it and say Michael Keane should be doing that as well. So I've given Michael Keane a 7. Yerry Mina himself, then I've given him a 5 again. Thought it was another poor performance by Yerry today. The inconsistency with Yerry Mina is very, very worrying for me. If he's going to be a Premier League centre-half for Everton Football Club going forward, he needs to start putting in consistent performances. We need to see the type of Yerry Mina performance that we saw against Brighton, you know, prior to the first international break, and not the type of Yerry Mina performance that we saw today. He just seemed a little bit all over the place. Don't get me wrong, he soaked up, him and Michael Keane did soak up the pressure in the last 15 or 20 minutes when Fulham were just firing absolutely everything at us. But, you know, the goals that we conceded were really, really poor goals to concede. We just allowed them far too much space, and Fulham had another couple of opportunities where they could have scored another 1 or 2 if they had a little bit more quality, and I just don't think Yerry Mina done himself any massive favours today. And you know, obviously we've still got, you know, Mason Holgate there to come in. We've got Ben Goffy, who played at right back today, who's a natural centre half. So for me, if Yerry Mina doesn't start, you know, picking his ideas up a little bit and performing at a much better level, it's not going to take Carlo Ancelotti very long before he takes him out the team. But I just think he needs to be a little bit more consistent, and at times today he struggled for me. Ben Goffy then, I've given Ben Goffy a 7. I thought he done okay at right back. Look, again, it's not his natural position, and you can tell that at times as well. He did sort of move into a 3 at the back in the first half, so we played sort of with 3 centre-backs, Goffy, Mina and Keane. Iwobi was right wing-back and Dean was left wing-back, and that sort of worked, and Ben looked okay, and he got forward a couple of times, and he used his energy, and he bulldozed himself through. But there was a couple of occasions where, I know, Jordan Pickford had to have a little bit of a go at him because he stood off, you know, the Fulham player instead of going at him and allowed the shot to come on target. But he's still very, very young. You know, he's only had a couple of appearances for Everton Football Club so far. Again, you know, 2 of those appearances, I think he's played in 3 games. 2 of them have been sort of out of position. No, all 3 he's played at a right back, and he did sort of move into that right back position come the second half. But he was playing in his position at centre half in a 5 at the back, and he done okay. Like I said, no major issues. Positional wise, he probably could do with being a little bit better. But again, he's very strong. He's big. He got the ball away at times as well. Everything that come into him, he dealt with well. So I've given him a 7. Abdoulaye Doucouré, I've given Abdoulaye Doucouré an 8.5 today. He scored the winning goal. There was a couple of times where I thought he sort of, I don't know, the midfield as a whole, him and Allen, I think on a couple of occasions just allowed the ball to be played through them far too easily. But Doucouré in the whole, put in a very, very good performance today. Good goal as well. Obviously for the win of the third goal, very good header. And he was picking the ball up, he was bringing it forward, his passing was good. Again, he was part of that defence that was scrambling to not concede a third goal during the last 15 or 20 minutes, so we didn't see much of anybody in the last 15 or 20 minutes. But ultimately, he scored the winner. His passing was really, really good as well. His pass completion was fantastic, so I've given him an 8.5. Alan a 7.5. Again, similarly in patches, he looked absolutely fantastic. He is that bulldozer, isn't he? He's that that Rottweiler in the middle of the park that's just snapping at people's ankles and that just wants to win the ball back constantly. But in doing that, sometimes, unfortunately, the ball gets played through a little bit too easily, and he's not there to do that. He's not going to be there on every occasion, and there was a couple of occasions today that I just thought the ball was played through the midfield far too easily. But for the most part, he was there, he was picking the ball up. Again, very, very good in the second half. Come the last 15 or 20 minutes when they were putting a lot of pressure on us, Alan was the one soaking that up. Alan was the one taking the ball in the midfield, picking the ball out, getting the ball back, moving it forward. So I've given him a 7.5. Alex Iwobi an 8 today. I thought this was one of Alex Iwobi's best games in an Everton shirt, to be honest with you, both going forward and then when he was asked to do his defensive duties as a right wing back as well. It was touted on the commentary during the game that Everton may have found Alex Iwobi's best position. I'm still not too sure what that is, because I'm not too sure the position in which he played in for the majority of this game. Was he in the centre of midfield? Was he right wing back? Was he playing the right midfield? I don't know, but he played really well for me today. Every time he got forward, most times he put a menacing ball into the box. He play it back to Tom Davies when Tom come on. He done really, really well in the last 5 or 10 minutes when he broke forward to keep hold of the ball and to not give anything away. Defensively, he done well as well. Got the ball out when he needed to. He was there to cover. He was there to play the ball up the line. I just thought he played really, really well today, Alex Iwobi. And look, I'll be the first one, along with most other Evertonians, to sit here and criticise him when he doesn't put in a good performance or when he is struggling and when he's running around. I personally think the key to Alex Iwobi is playing the ball into him, not playing the ball to him where he's got to take a touch and he's got to make a decision. Play the ball into him where it's moving, and all he has to do is beat his man for pace, use his dribbling, or whip that ball into the box, because he is a very, very good crosser of the ball. Alex Iwobi, a very good crosser of the ball. When you give it to him to take it down and make him make a decision, he doesn't do as good. But I hardly thought he put a foot wrong today. A couple of passes that went astray, but other than that, I hardly thought he put a foot wrong. Richarlison, I've given him an 8 today. Again, quieted down a lot in the second half. Wasn't massively involved in the second half, but it only took 42 seconds for us to realise how important Richarlison is to this Everton team. Just how important he is to us gaining results. He's direct, he picks the ball up, he drives into the box. Could have had 2 or 3 goals himself today. Obviously, one come into the box and he didn't quite make a connection on. Another one, early on in the second half he did, but he didn't quite get enough power behind it. He for me, he's our best player. He's our most important player and he's our most influential player. And again, that showed that on numerous occasions today. The ball into Dominic Calvert-Lewin, for the first goal within a minute, getting in the right positions, creating chances, being that player that plays the ball off. I think he was involved in all 3 goals as well. He's fantastic. He's absolutely fantastic. And yes, he did quieten down in the second half, but his work rate. Look at Richarlison. If you didn't notice, you mightn't have noticed. But look at Richarlison when we concede the first goal. He's on his knees. He's punching the floor. He hates it. He hates conceding. He hates losing. He's got that winning mentality that we look like we lacked in the last 15, 20 minutes of that game. He's got that mentality that we so desperately need to instill in every single player in this team. You concede, you're fuming, you're punching the floor, you're getting up, you're wanting to win. That's the type of mentality that Richarlison brings, along with his quality, along with his ability, along with his defensive work rate. He brings that mentality of we need to win, we want to win. And again, he showed that 42 seconds into the game. He's barging into the opposition's box. He's putting a ball across and it's a tap-in for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Literally 42 seconds into the game. He's bringing that directness that we've lacked in the last 3 games. So I've given him an 8. Dominic Calvert-Lewin a 9. Thought he was man of the match today for me. Again, work rate absolutely second to none. Can't fault it whatsoever from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Another 2 goals, making it 13 goals in 11 games for Dom. 2 good goals as well. Again, first one was a little bit scrappy, but he was there on the end of it, and the second one was a very good finish. Put a third in the back of the net as well, but it was ruled off side, and he probably could have had another couple as well, to be honest with you, with opportunities that we created. But not only did Dominic Calvert-Lewin impress in the first half with his 2 goals and his passages of play, but he also impressed in the second half for me when we looked very similar to how we looked against Southampton. We didn't have much creativity whatsoever. We didn't look like we wanted to get forward. We were defending for our lives. Dom was still getting the ball. He was still taking it down. He was still winning headers. He was still putting his body in the way. He was still winning fouls cleverly. He wins fouls very, very cleverly, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I don't even know if that's a word, cleverly. I know he's a player that used to play for Everton, but he wins so many fouls by just understanding, okay, I'm probably not going to win this ball here, so I'm just going to lean into the defender and fall over, and you get them all day. He has improved massively, not only technically and on his ability on the pitch, but his football and brain has improved drastically since last season. He knows what he needs to do. He knows in times when he can win the ball, he'll win it. When times when he can't win the ball, he'll win a foul. Whereas last season at times, he was trying to constantly get forward and constantly get the ball. And even when, he could win a foul, he was trying to play on, and ultimately that was, that was ending up in the opposition picking the ball up and coming at us. Whereas now, if he knows he's not going to win it, he wins a foul, and I thought he was brilliant today. And James Rodriguez, I've given him a 7. Again, very, very quiet in the second half, sort of went into that defensive role a little bit and give away the ball that ultimately ended up in the penalty. But going forward, there's no questioning his quality. There's no questioning his ability. He's absolutely fantastic footballer. Brilliant, brilliant footballer. And again, the balls that he plays into the box, he's one step ahead of everybody else. His creativity's there. I still think he's probably lacking a little bit of fitness. And Carlo Ancelotti pretty much said that in the pre-game press conference. Look, these South American players are tired. They've only just landed back in the country after playing, in South America. But again, his quality showed in the first half today, and he did quieten down in the second half. And to be fair, I think he probably should have come off. On to the substitutes then. Tom Davies, a 7.5. Didn't put a foot wrong for me, Tom Davies. Absolutely didn't put a foot wrong. Got the ball, brought it forward. Again, similar to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Knew when he could bring the ball forward, knew when he needed to win a foul, knew when he needed to go down, took the ball into the right positions, got himself on the wing and linked up with Alex Iwobi a couple of times as well. Thought he done well when he come on, to be fair. Didn't have an awful lot to do, but I've given him a 7.5. And Gylfi Sigurdsson, I feel a bit bad on this one because we're ending on a little bit of a negative here, but Gylfi Sigurdsson, a 4 for me. I don't see what Gylfi Sigurdsson brings to this Everton team. I honestly don't see what Gylfi Sigurdsson brings to this Everton team. He comes on, he stands, he points, he doesn't want to get involved, he doesn't want the ball, he doesn't want to create. And I understand that, we come on because we had tired legs in Richarlison and James and etc. But I just don't understand what Gylfi Sigurdsson brings to this Everton team to the point where Carlo thinks, yeah, you can come on and change a game. Couldn't change his undies, that fella, at the moment. And it's so disappointing because he plays for his country, for Iceland, and he's fantastic. And he scores every time he plays and he puts in brilliant performances. And then he plays for Everton and he just doesn't seem to want the ball whatsoever. I don't know what's going on with Gylfi, but it wasn't great again today when he come on. Albeit he was only on for 15-20 minutes, to be fair, so I'm not going to slate him too much, but he didn't do anything in that 15-20 minutes. And when you compare that to Tom Davies, I thought, Tom was very good in what he had to do, and Gylfi just didn't do anything really, did he? And Carlo Ancelotti, I've given him a 7. Listen, we got the win. A win's a win. 3 points is 3 points. Struggled massively in the second half, which realistically we shouldn't be doing against a side that are fighting relegation, let's be honest. But, a win's a win. And hopefully that's all we needed, a scrappy win, and we bounce back now and we go into next week and we play a little bit better, hopefully. That is it for the player ratings. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit that like button. The instant match reaction is out. Cal's instant match reaction will be out shortly as well, so don't forget to check that one out. Big thanks for watching. Leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon.